So another thing to be said really quickly, I'm going to just I'll probably do this for a little bit, but another thing to be said about the betrayals, about how that artist friend kind of just ghosted me and didn't say much to me, and then also didn't really stick up for me when I was kind of being, disrespected by this cultural group in Hartford and stuff like that, because I simply didn't have all the answers and stuff like that, and I was told if I didn't know everything, then I was pretty much stupid. So I was pretty much disrespected and dragged through the mud. So, but at this point, I'm at the point where, you know, half of those people in Hartford too. Half of those people in Hartford are taking jobs for this Toivo place, and Toivo is a mental health agency slash health center that kind of works with. They kind of have people that kind of work with people for mental health and stuff like that. Which brings up a bigger case here in my personal matters too. Is that because they work with this Toivo place and stuff like that, that some of them also might be counselors. Some of them also might be counselors and stuff like that, or might be seen as counselors here for me in my personal life with my programming and stuff like that. And I knew some of these people personally, or at least try to get to know some of these people personally and stuff like that. So yeah, now it's going to cause a bigger issue, because if there were once tensions and strifes or whatever else for people that I'm no longer knowing personally and stuff like that, doesn't mean that there's not going to be tensions and strifes and issues with other people and stuff openly within my mental health program yet now either, because now there's been other issues and stuff going on, and I've already been in the pathway where I've almost needed like a mental health lawyer or some type of lawyer to really kind of stick up and fight for my rights and stuff like that. I wouldn't call it a mental health lawyer at this point, because the place Toivo and stuff like that is run by another agency called Advocacy Unlimited, and Advocacy Unlimited does work with my mental health program and stuff like that, and there's been times where I've used their lawyers and stuff like that, but their lawyers can only go so much for so many things. But I'm thinking to myself that I might need to get myself a legitimate lawyer, as far as like one that's going to be able to do a lot more for me than somebody from my mental health program, because my mental health program seems to be wanting to gear things towards their favoritism, and things geared towards their favoritism also works on me being screwed over and getting the short end of the stick, which I think is kind of how people kind of realized that they were gonna win the artists and the poets and stuff over from Hartford and stuff like that, and have it work more towards the mental health, more of the mental health vision and stuff like that. When as soon as they realized they could get what they wanted, so. For the most part, it looks like I'm almost going to be screwed over, when it comes to, Toivo and some other things, obviously because I'm a client, and they're going to treat me like a fucking client. But at the same time, there were things I was doing in my personal life and stuff like that had nothing to do with the mental health agency. And people knew that I was trying to keep the mental health agency and the mental health agency problems and shit like that out of the arts, or out of the things I do for the arts and stuff like that, because there's been issues in the past that have caused disruptions and stuff like that, and some people want to try to tie me to those disruptions and stuff too, because people wanted to latch on to me and go to events and things and cause dramas and issues and things like that. But yeah, I wasn't the one acting out. When those situations and things had happened. It was the people that kind of latched themselves on to me and kind of were getting involved with things that I wish I could have kept them out of over in the end, So, Granted, I ended up stopping supporting people because me and people get into disagreements about how people feel I should do things and how I'm doing things and how I go about things and etc. So, with that being said, there's been a lot of divisions about between me and some artists here in town, and a lot of other artists I've had divisions with because of other things. And, you know, obviously I took a job for Taquana, and that didn't go well. So, but regardless, it's a bigger thing on multiple levels. It's not just like the artistry within my artistry and Facebook community. It's also the artistry and other issues that are going on within my mental health program too, where I might eventually need to get a bigger lawyer and stuff like that. You know, I might need to get a bigger lawyer in a bigger situation to actually, you know, somebody starts to start fighting for my rights, because, you know, my back's going to be up against the wall where there's going to be a huge amount of problems, where either they're expecting me to lash out, and they're expecting me to kind of lash out and kind of, you know, act a certain way so they could just, you know, send me to a mental health hospital or something like that, and they can make themselves look right, or they're expecting, you know, or I got to find the loophole that's going to actually basically give me the lawyer and stuff that I need to be able to fight for my rights and etc. But some of these people from Hartford and stuff like that, from the cultural groups and stuff like that, some of those people and some of those other artists and stuff like that have taken jobs for, you know, Toivo, which is a mental health program and stuff like that, you know. And it brings up a big question of whether or not I need to get a lawyer and actually start fighting for my rights and start fighting for what I think is fair, because, you know, things right now are not looking very fair. That, you know, people are now becoming, you know, they're now going to try to make them staff members and stuff like that. And, you know, some people are going to be like, oh, I didn't know who you were and stuff like that. That's because you didn't give me the chance. But, you know, people very well knew who I was, and people very well almost had interactions and stuff with me. So, so it's not like some people don't know who I am and stuff like that. It's like they want to play dumb for the sake of them getting the job and them getting what they need for their own career. Which, this is kind of a career war thing. It's kind of like, oh, I'm an artist, or I'm this and that, and I'm going to do what do what's right by me in the sake of my career and etc. And not give a fuck about you, you know. So that's pretty much what's been going on with, like, you know, Hartford's cultural groups and stuff like that. So, so there's been a big division going on, and it's not just affecting me as an artist, like on a personal level. It's also affecting me on a mental health level, or very well could. So, it's a bigger ripple effect and a bigger thing. And I know that artist that kind of deserted me, that I'm kind of mad at and stuff like that, also knows some things too. And she's kind of deserted me for whatever her reasons and stuff are, but she's also not stuck up for me when her friends were disrespecting me and stuff like that. Granted, she probably feels like, oh, I'm a black woman and I'm gonna stick with my people, and you're a white guy, and that's exactly what you get. So, I mean, obviously this whole thing about, you know, black and white has just caused such a cultural divide that it's not fucking funny, you know. I wish we could not be culturally divisioned and, you know, kind of come together and agree on some shit and not really, you know, be so apart. But, I don't know. For the most part, I'm going to go do what I need to do. I can almost barely talk at this point. I'm like talking a mile a minute. I need to rest my voice, because my voice is very, very tired. But it's like, you know, speak your voice, speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. And that's what I got to do at this point. That, you know, shit's gonna hit the fan. You know, shit at some point might actually hit the fan, depending on the situation. And I might need to seek legal matters down here for multiple things. And, you know, if things get out of control down here, or, you know, who knows? Things might get out of control with the artist that, you know, that other artist knew, that, you know, because there's a lot of other people that I'm trying to associate with on Facebook and stuff like that, and they're giving me almost the same responses that the other artist did that kind of walked out of my life. So I'm taking this very seriously too, because my mental health is kind of tied into all of this, and because my mental health is tied into all of this and tied into all of the arts and stuff like that, that this is very serious to me, and a very big, you know, problem, and that I'm gonna have to very much address, you know, because the arts played a very big part in my mental health, and they play a very big part in my mental health and my mental growth and my self-esteem and etc. So, some people are kind of doing a lot of damage, and they're purposely kind of doing that, which I don't really, you know, approve of and really like. But we'll have to deal with it accordingly. And so there's like a lot of entanglements and a lot of issues going on with this situation. So, but I know that there were people from the Hartford's cultural group that were getting involved and were also becoming counselors. And then there were other artists and stuff that were also trying to become counselors. And, I don't know. I don't know if I should really go down that road. I don't know if I really want to go down that road of a lawyer, because I know that I still kind of respect a lot of people, although some certain people getting involved and stuff do not respect me, and that's why I'm almost wanting to preach against the fact that they're even going to become counselors and stuff like that, because there's a couple people involved that are involved in other groups and stuff that are not necessarily going to hold the respect or the respect for me and stuff like that. So kind of why I don't want to get involved and do any groups and stuff with them. But granted, it's way beyond not being me saying that the mental health agency can't get involved in the arts and stuff like that. Granted, there were a lot of issues in the past. There were people that went to jail because they didn't know how to act right. They were causing fights at local clubs and venues and here in town and shit like that. It can happen with any art, any person in the mental health field, that there could be some type of issue where somebody can act all crazy and somebody, but I don't know. It's like I can't mix. I'm trying not to mix mental health with the arts, but I've done it for myself in a way. But it's like I'm not trying not to be an advocate for mental health or really get involved with the mental health part of like my whole being. Like I'm trying not to get that too much involved in the arts when it comes to the arts. I'm trying to utilize the arts and try to be a part of the arts, but I'm not trying to always put a big emphasis on mental health. Because there's a lot of stigma and stuff that comes with mental health and stuff, and people like, oh, stop the stigma and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's some of it is warranted when people act a certain way and choose to act a certain way and can't. Some people be like, oh, that's my illness. But granted, sometimes it doesn't hurt to KO a motherfucker. Sometimes it won't hurt to KO a motherfucker, but some people say, oh, that's my illness. No, sometimes you just got to KO a motherfucker, illness or no illness. But regardless of the factor, I'm kind of annoyed that, that this situation with these artists are, everybody is so high up on the chain that they want to act a certain way and stuff like that. And some people want to forget about the other artists and stuff that they worked with to get to the point A to point B. And it's just like, As much as I didn't want to share some of the posts I posted the other day, like I didn't want to share that I did craft fairs at the mental health agency, like at the mental health agency I did a craft fair, I did a little craft fair in the library, or certain things like that. They were part of my artist journey, that things that I wanted to kind of close out because I didn't feel like they were going to be big enough or important enough for me to do, and kind of a waste of my time, of like my efforts and my talents. But they were still kind of a part of my artist journey to where I'm becoming and where I'm going to this day. So but regardless, I have better uses for my time and my talents and efforts. It's just being a matter of being able to get me out there and to be able to work with the certain people that I need to work with. And then certain people just choose not to work with me and stuff like that. And of course it's their right, but then why am I supporting you? Why are we friends? Why are we friends on Facebook? It's like, I don't know. But regardless of the fact, there's a lot of other things going on, especially on a mental health front, I work with a DEMAS agency. I work with a DEMAS agency for my mental health, as many people do not know. I work with Northwest Mental Health Network, which is out here in Torrington, Connecticut. So I kind of work with a mental health agency. I'm not a counselor, but I am a client. I've been in the agency for almost 20 to 15 years. So. Granted, I've been trying to break away from the mental health system. I've been trying to do my own thing. And try to branch out and find my own path away from the clients and sometimes the disruptions and the drama and stuff like that, which has led me to being, connected with a lot of artists and stuff like that. And some people say, oh, I'm the drama and stuff like that, but when people come at people a certain way, or, people write something a certain way, it kind of bothers me and it kind of triggers me, and I have to have a response, There was something that somebody had written about, like, look for support. Oh, don't, be thankful for, don't be thankful for those who support you, but don't look for anything back in return. But at the same time, I kind of felt kind of wrong about that, because it's like sometimes artists want to network and stuff, and artists want to try to network and stuff. So hopefully they can work with you. If you like them in return, to get themselves out there and etc. So I mean, I kind of comment on a post because I was really fucking frustrated about it, and like, what is this shit? It's like, some people have to network to get themselves out there, and sometimes it's a networking thing, and obviously that person doesn't want to, support people in return, so it's like, why support them? Why buy their books? Why, they're a big name enough, they're a big name enough, and they get all the support in the world to do what they need to do, so, granted, I'm not going to any of their events, but I probably won't either, I probably won't, because I'm not big on the drinking and smoking lifestyle, and I'm not big on the whole clubbing thing. So whenever everything that's like, oh, a club or a bar, we got to have like, our open mics or whatever at, I'm like, no, I'm good. Never not big about that lifestyle. If you want to whore around or do whatever the fuck you want to do, then do what you got to do, but leave me out of it. So, anyways, just chilling at this point, and doing my thing and trying to breathe. My nerves are getting shot, and I'm going more and more to breaking point because I'm getting more annoyed with the situations and things. But for the most part, I'm trying to breathe. I got a lot going on in my house. I got to mop the floor. I might start laundry today. I mean, it's already 1 o'clock, but I got to eat my lunch first. I might probably make a little bit of a small salad and some chicken legs, and eat that for lunch, and then try to figure out how to get my shit together. I bought some candy for the weekend, and I ate most of the candy I had for the weekend. I was like, oh great, So now if I want to get more candy or something for the weekend, I can't run out into the store because it's like 100 degrees outside. So that's the downside about that. I mean, I got 1 bag of candy left, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to that for a while. Make sure I'm eating actual food, and I'm not trying to just eat out of hunger, or eat out of boredom. Because I eat out of boredom a lot. Sagittariuses tend to do that. We eat out of boredom, but when we're bored, we tend to eat. So, but yeah, just wanted to get this off my chest. I gotta go eat because I'm hungry. I'm hungry and my mouth is like, mouth is watering. My mouth is like watering, and it kind of has a lot of spit in it, and I need to drink something or something, and coffee's not helping. Coffee's not helping clear my airways here. So, anyways, peace.